Hello, algoritms and soulmates. I'm Al Reynolds, and this is my new show on my YouTube channel, The Court of Public Opinion, the place where the people's voice can and will be heard. Now, if you're new to the courtroom, make sure you grab a seat, and you may also want to grab a pen and a pad because we're going to be dropping knowledge that you definitely could use in your life. But don't forget to hit that like button, because we need for you to like the show. If you have not subscribed and you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button, as well as if you are a subscriber, please hit that share button. Invite your friends to come check us out and sit in the courtroom of the Court of Public Opinion. Also, please don't forget to hit that subscribe. No, hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to leave us a comment, because we love comments, because we love engagement. Now, for all our newbies, don't be alarmed. Think of the Court of Public Opinion as Nancy Grace meets Rapid Fire meets Fox Soul's Face Off. Yep. This courtroom may be disruptive. We get loud. We holler and scream. We overtalk each other. We do too much. Sometimes we're messy. But at the end of the day, we're always going to be informative. And I promise you, you're going to always learn something new. So buckle up. I'm your host and judge, Al Reynolds. And today I have my two legal beagles, attorney, criminal defense attorney, Brion Ross.
Oh.
You got to
put your technical difficulty today. Don't worry.
And also the incredibly beautiful entertainment attorney, Wendy Williams.
Hello.
Hello.
All right. So I know we are kicking off the story of the day. Mary J. Blige's 1992 song, Real Love. UMG got hit with a lawsuit, a copyright infringement lawsuit behind this song. So I'm going to give y'all the tea on that. We're going to get a little bit into Wendy Williams. Her guardian is suing Lifetime and A&E Network, which is the parent company, because they're saying that Wendy wasn't in her right mind when she signed that contract with them for the Where is Wendy Williams documentary. We're going to get into that. I'm going to give y'all some entertainment tea. Oh, Al, take it from
me. All right. We're talking about Jussie Smollett back in the courtroom for 110th time. Wendy Williams' guardian is under fire for the validity of the contract of her docuseries. We're going to talk about that with the entertainment attorney to see if this is really something that is going to be good for that guardian. Jay Morant, oh my goodness, after losing $7 million for being benched for 25 games, $300,000 a game, we're going to see what the judge said as it relates to him punching a young boy who was playing basketball at his house. Then we're going to talk about Mary J. Blige. So you guys remember that song, Real Love? I'm talking about real love. Well, the love may not be real enough because there is a copyright infringement lawsuit deep in the courts. And we're going to see, was Mary J. Blige using somebody's sample without their permission? And last but not least, Danny Lee. Do you know who Danny Lee's brother? Danny Lee's brother has been chasing DaBaby for 2 years now and still can't get him served. So he's asked the courts, hey, can I use a different method? Because this dude, DaBaby, is slicker than a salamander. All right, everybody, welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. All right, first up, I want to talk about Jussie Smollett. Now, we all know, and I think it's safe to say here, in the Court of Public Opinion, Jussie Smollett is guilty. Now, for those who don't know, I served as a lead commentator for the 5-part docuseries that was on Fox Nation. So I had the liberty of actually going through all his court documents, having to see all his court appearances, going through all of this information, and I mean combing through all of the information. So the question to me here, and I'm going to throw this to the criminal defense attorney, Brion Ross, what are your thoughts? And I also want to hear Jourdan's opinion too, because Jourdan, you had some good points as it related to the courts upholding lower courts' decisions. So Brion Ross, what are your thoughts? Do you think that Jussie Smollett is just creating another law bill, or do you think there's actually some feet to this, or does he have legs in this being heard by the Illinois Supreme Court?
In the words of Dave Chappelle, justice for Juicy. Justice. Okay? Jussie was charged with lying to the police, which in Illinois can be prosecuted. 5 counts of it. And his charges involved community service. That's the only thing that matters. His conviction involved community service. The prosecutor at the time made a deal with him and said, I will let you do community service and pay a fine in exchange for charges being dropped. A new prosecutor got elected and had a grand jury look at this again, and they charged him with the crime and went to trial and lost. So his argument on appeal is, I already struck a deal. What do you mean I'm being charged with the crime again? I made a deal for community service and to pay a fine, and the case should go away. So this is what he's appealing. The appellate court came back and said, no, they can bring it up again. He's taking it to the highest court, the Supreme Court, to say, guess what? I already made a deal. I already did my community service. You can't then recharge me again and try me for the same crime. And that's what this is about.
Okay, now wait a minute. There's more than that that's going on, isn't that right, Attorney Williams? Because if they create a special prosecutor and a group of lawyers to review that deal that he had made. And so it was that special group, right, that then brought him back, drug him back into the courtroom and found that they then ruled differently than the original deal that he had struck. Talk to me, what does that mean as you walk into the Supreme Court of the state of Illinois, and does those judges, what are they going to hear when they look at this?
So at the appellate level, right, Jussie got sentenced to, I believe it was 150 days, which isn't much. He only served 6 of those days. And he appealed his conviction at the appellate court. There was a 3-judge panel. 2 of those judges upheld the conviction. They said, you did the crime. You lied to us. You will do your 150 days. And what it came down to was, do we actually care, as the judges, do we actually care about this agreement? Was it a non-prosecution agreement? Meaning if Jussie actually did his required hours of community service, he will not be prosecuted, even if he pleads guilty? Or did it mean, in addition to everything else, you need to do community service? That's really what this is going to come down to. The appellate court has already said that that was not a non-prosecution agreement, meaning that the special prosecutor could come back and charge him with disorderly conduct. That's why his conviction was upheld. Now, what I think is going to happen at the Illinois Supreme Court level, I think they're going to agree with the appellate court. I haven't seen a lot of overwhelming evidence from Jussie, anything different than what we've seen on the appellate court level, that would change the judges' minds at this point.
So, okay, if I hear both of you correctly, what we're focusing on is not if he did it or not, right? What we're focused on, what he's saying is basically at this point that this case should be thrown out and I should not have to serve time because I was offered a deal. I took the deal. I did what I was supposed to do with that deal, and I should not be held responsible any longer. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Okay.
So it reminds me of the Bill Cosby scenario, right? Bill Cosby sat in deposition, a civil deposition regarding his alleged sexual assault case. And he testified that, yes, I did these things. But he testified under an agreement that the testimony would not be used against him in a criminal hearing. A new prosecutor takes over, and that person wants to run for office. He's in a predominantly white county, et cetera, and they prosecute him. Supreme Court of Pennsylvania came back and said, he struck a deal. You can't use that against him, and that's why his conviction was overturned. I do agree a lot of what Jourdan said, but there's a dissent by the appellate judges who say it's fundamentally wrong. He made a deal, essentially is what she said. So I think there's a chance he could pull this off. Well, okay. What value is it? I don't know. He's not getting back.
Yeah. So what is the value? What is the value of this? Because I feel like every time I see Jussie on television or in the media of surrounding this case, it just brings back those memories of the irresponsibility that he exercised at that time. We were at the height of so much. We were at the height of racism. We were at the height of like, you know, make America great again. We were just at height of the white supremacy. So for me, him constantly being back in the media, bringing this back up, just brings back the deception that I felt that he created, not only, you know, for himself, but just like for me, when stuff like this happens, I always say, oh, okay, so how is that going to make us as a community look? And it just felt like we gave the others, the white supremacists, the other side, like ammunition to shoot at us and say, look, this is what we're talking about. So I want to ask this question. As lawyers, if you were Jussie's lawyer, Attorney Ross or Attorney Williams, if you were his lawyer, would you still be dragging this through the courts only to not serve time? Because at this point, no one can tell me that they don't believe that he did this.
Oh, I'll refer to Ms. Williams. I'll let you chuckle. Your chuckle says you go first.
So I will say, as lawyers, you know, we want to zealously advocate for our clients, right? So if Jussie wants to continue fighting the fight, we'll take it all the way to the Illinois Supreme Court. And after you exhaust all the state court options, the next step is the U.S. Supreme Court, right? So if Jussie wants to foot the legal bill and he wants me to continue repeating these same arguments that are not being accepted by the court, why would I turn it down?
Okay. So you wouldn't, Attorney Ross, you wouldn't say, and you've done this to me, Attorney Ross, before when I brought you stuff to help me with. Hey, buddy,
you ain't got to get personal.
Attorney Ross, you said to me, hey, buddy, calm down. Look at the big picture. You're being short-sighted. You're letting your emotions control, you know, your logic. This is the conversations that you've had with me as it relates to stuff that I've wanted to attack. And then when I rationally have thought about it, I come back to you and say, okay, you might be right. So you too would be like, if you want to, let's go and take it. See, my only concern is Jussie Smollett is so talented. And I say this all the time. His family is so talented. But you keep bringing this back up. It just keeps bringing back ugly memories. And I'm no longer talking about how you can sing or how you can act. I'm not. What I'm talking about is how I feel like you mentally can't let this go. And from my perspective, I don't know. I'm losing interest in your singing and your acting.
It just seems to me that he has to have this. Obviously, he has a chip on his shoulder. In my mind, there's no doubt about it that he committed this crime. He did it. He was being kicked off Empire. Whatever was important to him was in crumbles, and he needed some sort of attention.
Right.
But if you go back and watch Dave Chappelle's skit on this, it highlights the most hilarious moments of this entire story. You know you did it. Justice for Jussie. So what you are trying to get back is your integrity. You can't get back your integrity. Ain't nobody going out in Chicago at 3 o'clock in the morning to get Subway sandwiches in January.
Right.
You can't get that back. So,
like Al said, every time he brings it up, I get mad all over again because I was a part of the group that was on Twitter with the hashtag pray for Jussie. I had my granny praying for him. Okay?
Not your granny.
Go sit down. She brought out the prayer oil. She got in her prayer closet for him. So I feel like, Jussie, do your 150 days. Do them.
Right. Please do your 150 days. And let's just turn the page on this. I've said this. He has taken something that has happened back during COVID, and we got rid of COVID, but we can't get rid of Jussie.
Justice for Jussie. Justice for Jussie.
All right, everybody, let's keep it moving. Wendy Williams. Speaking of Wendy Williams, speaking of a sad situation, speaking of, completely just career going down the tubes. The Guardian is challenging the validity of the contract for the docuseries in legal documents. So this is my question. Is she doing that to save face because everybody says that she's not needed? And also, how could she allow this to happen under her guardianship? Or does she legally have grounds to say that the validity of the contract has something to do with the fact that Wendy Williams may have had dementia? Now, I want to go to you, Attorney Jourdan Williams, because you work in-house at a studio, and I've had this conversation with you offline. It's very hard for me to believe that a studio like Lifetime and whoever owns Lifetime and all their distribution channels, that legal team and business affairs would not have double-crossed the T's and triple-dotted the I's as it related to this Wendy Williams case, to the extent of that they knew that anybody knew that was getting in bed with her legally or not, that something simply is not right about her. Attorney Williams, tell me right now, does this Guardian have a case, or what are some of the things that you do in your boardroom when you're taking on a client like Wendy Williams and putting their series on air?
So I believe that Lifetime, which is owned by A&E Network, right? They've been around a long time. They've done these type of documentaries for a long time. They know what they're doing. They are buttoned up over there. So I don't believe the Guardian actually will be successful in this. But let me just explain a little bit about what she's actually arguing. So yes, she is saying that the contract that A&E Network is using to get the rights to use Wendy in this documentary is invalid because Wendy was incapacitated at the time due to her dementia. Now, it has actually been reported that Wendy was not incapacitated at the time due to her dementia, because when the idea for this documentary started, she actually was planning her comeback, right? It's been reported that she planned to come back with a podcast and that this documentary actually was supposed to show her journey to doing such that, right? So I believe that at the beginning, they may have footage, they may have emails from Wendy showing that she was in the right state of mind, not only when this contract was signed, but at the beginning of production. I've actually seen interviews from producers saying that when they start filming, no one knew that from the production team that she had dementia. She showed no signs of it. So I think that argument is not going to work.
Attorney Ross, what are your thoughts on this? And see, when I also think about this argument, I also think about how it looks like they had no idea the backlash or how ridiculous she was going to appear on television. And I think it wasn't until after they received such backlash from all her fans that they then tried to double back. Attorney Ross, what are your thoughts on this? And does the Guardian have any legal grounds here?
No, well, you took my argument out of my mouth. They didn't know that she was going to appear this, but I don't know how they wouldn't know that. I mean, don't they run a pre-series on this? Don't they do kind of a test run to look and see what it's going to look like? Yes. So they had ample opportunity, if in fact they did that, which I don't know if they did, but if in fact they did run some sort of pre-series on it, or a pilot, whatever you would call it, how you call it, they should have known then that there was something awry. So if they went into this contract with the best of intentions to produce all these things and then see that she's acting a certain way and still produce it, she made them right.
Well, see, I don't know if I agree with that, because when we talk about legal capacity for contract purposes, what that really means is you are of sound mind. And you don't have to even be of sound mind all the time. If you have intervals of lucidity, that counts, right? So whether she actually had dementia at the time, but there might be some days where she was better, some days not. If she signed it on one of her better days and A&E Networks can prove that, then the contract will be valid. Even, I know she talks a lot about her addiction to alcohol. If she was drunk when she signed it, right? So let's say I get out all drunked up and I
and that ain't hard to do. That ain't hard to do.
Which wouldn't take much. That's
I'm gonna give him a little Pinot Grigio. And I want your autograph. Sign this real quick. And it turns out that I've tricked him into signing over his $100 million bank account to me. Well, that wouldn't be a valid contract, right? Because he would say I was not in my right mind, and I didn't know what I was signing. So those are the two key components to contract validity. And I think that there could be an argument if they can actually show, because Wendy was emailing with us, she was helping us plan the documentary, they can show she was actually lucid. She was actually in her right mind at the time, and she knew what she was signing. I think A&E Networks has a pretty strong argument against this Guardian.
And then also, I'm just thinking from my experience of doing television shows, before that even airs, it's vetted 5, 6, 7 times. And then the last time, everybody, including your cat and dog, has to show their paw and their prints, the handprints. Like basically, you have to give everything close to your fingerprints up to get that stuff, put on television. So I don't know about this one. All right, I can't wait to keep our eyes on this. So let's keep it going to this young NBA player for the Memphis Grizzlies who lost or is out of $7 million for punching a buddy of his that was playing pickup ball at his house. Now, lucky for him, the judge is saying that he can say that it was self-defense. All right, Brian, talk to me about this. How can a judge all of a sudden, after seeing all of the details, decide that he can say that it was self-defense?
Let's start with the very notion that this is a civil case, not a criminal case.
Yes.
It's not a thing where Jay Morant is looking at jail. It's a thing where Jay Morant is looking at paying money. The second thing you have to remember is people like Jay Morant carry huge insurance policies on themselves and on their properties just for instances like that. They're walking ATM targets for people like this, okay? Start with those two notions. So What's happening? Jay Morant's a basketball player. Jay Morant isn't just a basketball player. Jay Morant could have been the heir to the throne of LeBron James. He was the future of the NBA, a spectacular athlete, a standout. But he keeps having these little road bumps, doesn't he? He's allegedly flashing guns at people. His father is walking on the court to fight people. It just keeps on going. In the NBA, it's all about image. That image doesn't fit what they're trying to do for their corporate sponsors. So Jay Morant's at his house having a friendly pickup basketball game. The 17-year-old man who's part of the lawsuit rolls a ball at him. If you ever play basketball, you check the ball. Jay checks it, rolls it back. Next thing you know, the young man's throwing the ball at Jay's head outside the lines of basketball. Then the man balls his fists up. Jay Morant, being Jay Morant, clocks him in the jaw. The man sues Jay Morant for civil battery. It's deeper than that, but let's just leave it at civil battery. What's that mean? You touched me. The police didn't charge you with a crime. Maybe they did, but regardless, I'm injured. I deserve money. That's what he's saying. You have a defense to that civil battery in Tennessee called standing your ground. Historically, it was called a castle doctrine. If someone ran up in your house, you could bust them in the face. You don't got to run away from your own home.
You can shoot them. You can actually shoot them. You can actually shoot them.
You shoot them. You saw a lot of this get revived during the Barack Obama administration because allegedly crime went up. So states in the South, Tennessee, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, revived these stand your ground doctrines. We saw Trayvon Martin. Unfortunately, his whole life was taken, and Eric Zimmerman survived because of this same qualified immunity stand your ground doctrine. So that's what Jay Morant was granted yesterday. The judge says he has a right to be in his own house. There's not severe bruises on this guy. I believe the witnesses that Jay Morant brought to court that said the young man started it. And not only the young man started, he said, I'm going to light this house up, meaning set it on fire. And so all that gave the judge cause to believe that Jay Morant had a right to defend himself and his property. In response, the young man's lawyer is going to do, which I'm sure Jourdan will tell you, Ms. Williams will tell you is probably impossible. She's going to try to challenge the constitutionality of the stand your ground law in the state of Tennessee. Not going to happen. You're in the South. They want to shoot you if you run up in their house. So I don't see this going anywhere. I think this case is over. That's my opinion.
Okay, so let me ask this question. Now, the case might be over, but what about the $7 million the young man lost for the 25 games? He had to pay $300,000 fine a game. Attorney Williams, what is that about?
Isn't that crazy to be making that much money?
The NBA have to pay him back?
The NBA probably will not. The NBA probably will not have to pay him back. So in 2023, Jay Morant was suspended for 25 games because he was on social media, being a young person, showing off a gun. Like you said before, the NBA does not like that kind of behavior. They have corporate sponsors. You have to be very careful about those morals clauses that say if you bring embarrassment, scandal, disrepute to this organization, we can let you go, we can fine you, we can suspend you. So he ended up losing about $7.5 million from those suspensions. Now, he still came out fine. He still came out making about 33 million, right? It put a little bit of dent in his bank account. But I think the overall problem is that these are repeated patterns. Now, I don't know how much more leeway Ja will have to continue having these run-ins, these incidents. Now, this latest one actually happened at his home, which is a little bit different. But if I were him, I would steer clear of anybody who has a problem with me, who wants to hit me in the face, anybody that can get my temperature rising. You got to get from around me, okay? Because I'm trying to keep my money in my pocket.
How about all these women chasing these athletes?
I mean, it's not going to be anything to chase if he keeps punching people and showing guns and acting a fool.
All right, everybody. Let's see. Let's put some blue hearts in the chat. Blue heart emojis in the chat for attorney Jourdan Williams. Let's put some briefcases in the chat for Brian Ross. And don't forget to put those fax emojis in the chat for me and the court of public opinion. Moving right along. Real love. Everybody, whatever this is, Mary J. Blige is back in the news, and Universal Music Group is being sued. Yes, you heard me right, sued for copyright infringement. They said that Mary J. Blige had no right to sample their songs without their permission. Jourdan, what's going on? Who knew that Mary J. Blige was sampling without paying?
So this is such an interesting case because, nowadays a lot of songs include samples, but what a lot of people don't realize is sometimes the sample is also a sample. So that's what we're dealing with here. Mary J. Blige's 1992 song, Real Love, was primarily sampled by an 80s song called Top Billing by the Audio Twos. But that song was actually also a sample, right? So Tough City Records is the plaintiff in this case, and they are suing Universal Music Group over sampling their song Impeach the President, which is a 1972 song. So they're saying, okay, you may have gotten the clearance from, Top Billing, the 1980 song, but they sampled us. So you also were supposed to come to us, Universal, and get clearance, and you didn't do that. So they're coming now to get that check. They're suing for actual damages, past profits that Mary J. Blige or UMG have made from the song Real Love, which I know is a lot because it's a 32-year-old song. They're also suing to be declared the rightful owner of the copyright to Impeach the President. This song has actually been sampled all over hip hop and R&B. I have a long list here, but suffice it to say, LL Cool J, Janet Jackson, Dr. Dre, Jodeci, Jasmine Sullivan, and many more have sampled this song because what people like about it is the drums. So after the show, head over to YouTube and look for the song. You'll hear the drums, and I'm sure it will strike a memory. You might, do a little bop to it because, again, it's in all of our favorite bops.
Got it. So let me ask you this then. If I was Mary J. Blige, I would be pissed off with Universal Music Group because you have a whole division that this is their job. This is what you're supposed to do to make sure that I don't get sued for copyright infringement. Am I wrong about this, Attorney Ross?
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, they're supposed to have attorneys who are very talented like Miss Williams and interns who are going through this left and right to know this type of stuff. But the bigger thing is, I have a question is, this song was a hit in 1992. So I
32 years ago?
How many years ago was that? Is that
32 years ago?
32 years.
Is this something that's just coming out now? Or why did it take so long to bring it? Were they waiting for the royalties to build up? Why they wait 32 years to sue this woman for a song that was popular in 1992? I don't know. That's legal. That's bizarre to me.
That's a really good question. So I want to make a clarification. They're not suing Mary yet. They're just suing Universal for now. But what's really interesting, and Al and I talked about this offline, is we have nowadays these companies who go around looking for catalogs to buy, right? They're looking for these really old songs that nobody really knows or really wants. And what's happened in this particular instance with Tough City Records, they bought the rights to a lot of 90s songs and they reissued them using the raw audio materials. And DJs and music producers love that because it's easier to mix, it's easier to make new music using the original audio.
Got it.
What tripped up is when you use that audio in a new song and a sample, but you don't properly clear it, well, now they have just hit the lottery because they can come and sue you for any profits from your new song. You will have to reimburse them for any attorney's fees. So they get to slap you with a free lawsuit. And for a lot of smaller companies like this now, that's their whole business. We talk a lot about using AI online. Well, there are AI tools that these companies can use to scan the entire Beyonce internet and figure out if somebody is using their song and hunt you down and hit you with a lawsuit.
Jeez whiz, like... Is there money in that? Is there? I guess there is. If you hit one, right? If you hit one, say for instance, if you were to win this case for Mary J. Blige, you would retroact 32 years of this song and its profits from those 32 years from being sampled incorrectly.
Exactly. Because these songs are still available on iTunes, right? They're still available to buy and to download. So there are profits still being made today, even though this song is 32 years old. And even beyond that, right? They can go and buy the catalog from some other 60s artists and hit you with another lawsuit. They can sue you for 2 songs and probably make millions of dollars.
Wow.
Might be my retirement plan.
Might be your retirement plan.
Please, if you figure that out, please include
that. Brian. Y'all can't leave the judge out of this now.
Get you a song.
Give me a song.
Seriously.
All right.
Wow.
I want to send out some love to Elizabeth Lineberry. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. And we're glad that you're watching live. And please, everyone, please watch the replay. All right, everybody, algorithm, before we go into our last story of the evening, be sure to hit that like button. Our likes are looking a little bit slim here. And also, if you're a subscriber, please hit that share button. And please don't forget to leave a comment. And don't also forget to watch the replay. Now, this next story is very, very interesting to me. Danny Lee's brother. Now, everybody, we all know that Danny Lee was DaBaby's baby mama that lived with DaBaby. Now, DaBaby decided one day after getting up, going live with her, that he wanted her out the house. He said, get out. I don't want to be with you anymore. So the brother thought the way that he handled it was so disrespectful that he was going to run up on him. So that's exactly what he did. He ran up on him. And when he ran up on him, he got his butt kicked to the tune of a couple of stitches and a whole lot of bruises. Now, Danny Lee's brother is trying to sue DaBaby. But it's been 2 years and he can't seem to get the documents in the hand of DaBaby to serve him. Attorney Brion Ross, now you're a criminal defense attorney. Tell me, why and how can he not get DaBaby served? And why and how? Talk to us about serving, the importance of being served. Why, like Carisha Please and from Young Miami, how they got her served. Why are there other options to serving people? Do you have to chase somebody for 2 years? Like, talk to me, Attorney Brion Ross, about this serving thing.
Well, it does boggle your mind because DaBaby is a public figure. If you follow that part of the public, he's available. He should be able to be found. He's not some obscure individual who hides in the darkness. He's running around with $100,000 in gold chains on and luxury cars everywhere he goes. So It blows your mind that he can't be found. But nonetheless, the lesson of the law is you have to actually serve the person. You have to put the piece of paper in their hand. Like Young Miami was allegedly twerking at a pool party. When she came up from the twerk, the process server walked up to her, gave her the paper and said, you've been served. That is proper service. However, there's other ways to do it. One thing you could do is you could publish it in the newspaper. You can actually go to the newspaper and say, I've tried to serve this person. leave it in there. Different states have different rules for the correct amount of time. Take the newspaper article back to court, attach some papers, and the judge would call that proper service, and the case proceeds.
But I just don't see. Hold on, Attorney Ross. You sound crazy to me. I don't see DaBaby reading a newspaper. Do you think he reads newspapers?
I doubt he reads newspapers, and that's the benefit of the person trying to serve him. You hope he doesn't read the newspaper. You hope he doesn't check it. You hope his grandmother doesn't check it while she's playing Scrabble in the newspaper. You hope no one hears about it, so that way you can go back to court and say, I served him. Because once he has been properly served, you get what's called a default judgment against him for failure to respond. And that's what you want, a default judgment.
Okay, well, let me ask you this, Attorney Williams. All right, why wouldn't I just send the papers to DaBaby's lawyer? Why wouldn't I send the papers to DaBaby's record label? Why wouldn't I send the papers to everybody? I would send it to his publicist. I would send it to his agent. I would send it to his manager. Why can't I send or mail those to all those people that represent him? That doesn't count?
Not necessarily. So you can send a complaint to a registered agent, right? So I'm sure DaBaby has plenty of corporations and legal entities. So if I were the plaintiff, I would be trying to figure out which of these people are the registered agent. It's not going to be everybody. It's not going to necessarily be a manager or a record label. And I would mail it there. Now, it seems to me that this lawyer might be a cousin, auntie, brother, boyfriend. So we don't go with the newspaper.
Look, this is why you might be in law school.
I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. And we don't go with the newspaper, but an odd choice it is.
Right. Oh, wow. That is.
I didn't see that coming.
So
he might be a cousin. The process server might be a cousin too.
So help me understand one more time, my legal beagles. Tell me about serving, because I know that a lot of people have questions about, every time you want to sue someone, do you have to serve them? Why do we see some people getting served and some people not? Can one of you please take this and explain to our listeners and to our viewers what's the difference between being served and filing a criminal lawsuit versus a civil lawsuit? Do you only have to be served for a civil lawsuit, or do you have to be served for a criminal lawsuit? What's the difference? Because I myself, as the judge here, is still a tad bit confused.
So in a civil case, you will serve. For a criminal case, the police is coming to pick you up. That's the serve. You and in the back of the car. For a civil case, though, that's when you need to, as Attorney Ross has said, you need to either put it in that person's hands, you need to mail it to their registered agent, or you can publish it. A lot of people like to use the newspaper because that's what we call constructive notice. So it doesn't matter if you or Big Mama or Lil Riri read the newspaper. The fact is, the world has been put on notice. Your business is out there, and the court is going to say, well, you should have been reading the newspaper that day. So the importance of being served is, if someone is suing you, you have to know that you're being sued, right? You can't just have all these lawsuits going on in your name and you don't know that they're happening. So that's requirement number one of the plaintiff, is to make sure the person you're suing actually knows that they're being sued. Now, when you are put on notice, generally you only have about 15 days to respond to the lawsuit. So what Attorney Ross was saying about, you hope that DaBaby does not read the newspaper and does not know this is happening, is because after 15 days, if you haven't responded to the lawsuit, you lose by default.
Oh, wow. So that's what you call, Attorney Ross, default judgment. And so if you default, you automatically surrender, you automatically lose the lawsuit?
There's things you can do, but yeah, you've essentially lost. There's other steps you have to go through after that. You get what's called a final judgment. That's another conversation, but it's a great step. And remember, if he doesn't answer this complaint thinking they didn't serve me, I don't have to read the newspaper. I haven't been served. And that default judgment goes on over time. The further it goes, the harder it is for him to get out of it.
Now,
go ahead.
The other part, besides just the newspaper, if you see it on the blogs, on all the blogs, and we know DaBaby's reading the blogs, we know somebody in his camp is reading the blogs, does that count for anything?
No. Counts for nothing.
But it could possibly, let him know that they're coming for him, that it's getting ready to go in the newspaper, because the judge is definitely going to say you can put it in the newspaper. And he's got 15 days from the day that it appears in the newspaper, correct?
Yes, but believe it or not, Al, most times people know they're being sued. They hear
that's why he had it.
They know they're being sued. Especially DaBaby. They know that someone's chasing them down. So it's not a shock to them when they get served. So this is a situation where DaBaby's obviously somehow evading service, or the prosecutor and the lawyer aren't really good at what they do. It's one of the two.
Right. Or the person who's trying to get him served is not paying for it to get served because he can't afford it. Because getting somebody served can cost between $500 and $1,000. If you ain't got it, you ain't getting them served. I honestly would just go to the courts and say, it's been 2 years. I can't get them served. Can I please put it in the newspaper?
Yes.
Right?
Well, something else is interesting about this, though, in him saying that, I can't find him. When it came to the criminal side of the same situation, this fight in the bowling alley, the brother wouldn't even work with the police.
That's right. He didn't show up.
He didn't want to comply with the police to get charges filed against DaBaby, but he wants to sue him civilly. It just seems very sloppy. Again, I know that this is your cousin, brother, sister, hairdresser, boyfriend, but please take some advice from the legal beagles here and just go have a nice day. Leave this man alone.
Right. I mean, because it seems to me that in the courts, I would say, you clearly were jumped. You clearly were beat up. Why wouldn't you want to charge him criminally? I guess that's probably his sister in his ear, like, I have a child. He still probably pays me. He's probably taking care of me. Yes. You're making it hard on me. So he was like, okay, I want. Or his closet ain't that clean. Attorney Williams, Attorney Ross. Maybe his closet ain't that clean. He could be living under
the whole stitches theory. He doesn't want to be that guy. There's any number of reasons why people don't go on a criminal case. But they'll take a bag of money, though. That's for sure. They'll take the bag. That's for sure.
All right, algorithms and soulmates, it's that time of the show, like I promised, where the people's voice can and will be heard. We're going to go to the questions. And remember, everybody that participates in the questions, we're going to call you our jury. And moving forward into next week, we're going to be allowing the jury to join us live on the show with your questions. So the judge will eventually throw to the jury to get their comments on the stories that we covered. All right, first up, Dara Cam says, what is the reason they charged him? Was there new evidence that was not presented? This really doesn't make any sense. What is the reason? I'm assuming they're talking about Jussie Smollett.
Yes.
So, all right, Attorney Ross, what is the reason they recharged him? I'm sorry. What is the reason they recharged him? And was there new evidence that was not presented?
No. 5 counts of lying to police, et cetera, et cetera. He thought he struck a deal with the prosecutor to make it all go away for community service in a small fund. New prosecutor comes in and says, my office didn't make that deal. We're going to go on to the original information and do it from there. So it wasn't really new evidence that did anything. It was a change in prosecutors and public pressure that led to him being charged, tried, and convicted after he thought he had a deal. So no, It wasn't new evidence.
Yeah.
So let's be very clear. Okay, go ahead, Attorney Williams.
I was just going to say, Jussie's argument is no take backsies, but yes, take backsies. Lots of take backsies happening here.
Yes, especially in the court. The court's always got some take
some way now. Always got some way, man.
That is so true. You be like, your head will spin if you do all the take backsies.
A lot of take backsies in the legal system.
A lot of take backsies.
So Times 308 said, is this considered double jeopardy?
Ms. Williams, if you want to answer that, it's up to you. So
I don't believe this is double jeopardy because I think, again, he was actually convicted, but he thought that he was going to be sentenced to community service. Right, and they said, oh, no. You go.
It works in Chicago.
as my papa would say, you going to the penitentiary.
The penitentiary. I like it. Remember, double jeopardy only attaches people when the jury is impaneled. So they walk in, they're sworn in, they sit down. All of a sudden, you say, you know what? We're going to drop the case. They can't then go refile that once the jury has been impaneled. His jury was never impaneled, so it wouldn't be double jeopardy.
All right, sounds good. All right, let's keep going. Sonny Clark. All right, Sonny, what you sipping on over there? Sonny Clark says, am I the only one who still believes Jussie Smollett?
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are. Only one. You're definitely the only one.
You saw all the information. If you saw all the information.
Girl, where were you when it happened? You weren't on the hashtag with the rest of us. I remember it went from pray for Jussie to Jussie can go to hell. It changed very quickly on my timeline.
All right, Times 308 said he is privileged and it is what it is. I don't know. That's not really a question. So let's keep going. Riri Drakeford, what kind of insurance, Sean? Brian, Attorney Ross, what kind of insurance are you talking about when we talk about these guys have insurance, these celebrities, the basketball players specifically?
So when you get a contract for $300 million or whatever that number is, you have to do something with that. You are no longer a human. You're essentially a walking corporation. You are incorporated. You LLC everything. And so you insure those things with contracts that say, if I get into a car accident and hit somebody, it's more than just your State Farm $25,000, $50,000 policy, because that person's going to want more than that. So the corporation steps up. And the beautiful thing about these types of insurance policies is they usually pay for your lawyer.
Yes.
So they give you an attorney. If you had to pay for these types of lawsuits on yourself, it could bankrupt you. It could be very expensive. So he has several corporations set up, and the corporations have their own insurance policies which protect him. So when people come play back, hey, Jock, you build a basketball house at your mansion. Are people going to play basketball there? Yeah. Well, if some athlete comes over there and breaks his leg, he's going to sue you and say it's your fault because your basketball court wasn't kept together. Or if guys come over and they're drinking and start fighting each other, et cetera, et cetera. So why don't you get an insurance policy for $10 million on this? How much is it going to cost me? $50,000. All right, done. That's why they're going after. They're going after the deep pockets of the insurance company right now.
All right. And then I also want to share, and Attorney Williams, you can chime in on this. You don't have to be super wealthy to get this type of insurance to protect your business. If you have a lawn care business, if you have a pool business, if you have a cleaning business, if you have a restaurant, as you incorporate yourself as a small business, algoritmers and soulmates and anybody else that's listening to this, it's always a good idea to get what's called, in certain cases for CEOs, they get what's called key person insurance. For small business, you can get what's called directors. It's called directors and something insurance. I have it for my business. So if anything goes down, I have this shield over my company so that they can't come directly to me, depending on how I'm incorporated. Instead, my insurance company will be activated and they pay out on the lawsuit. So this just isn't for the super wealthy. This is also for regular small to mid-sized businesses as well. So be sure to call your insurance agent and talk to them how you can double protect yourself. Not only because there are crazy people out here that will sue you, no telling what's on their mind, but this will protect not only you, but it'll protect your family and your estate. All right, let's keep going. Thimes 308 says, so will Mary have to give permission to sing her own music in the future? That's a good question. That's
a really good question. And I would actually say the answer to that is probably so. Yeah. So when you have samples in your music, like I said before, they cleared the 1980 song that was sampled, but not the 1970 song that was sampled. So it looks a little funny to say, well, yeah, I know I'm supposed to get clearance for the 1980 song without going back to the 1970 song. So there's, and this is very complicated, something called public performance licenses. And that's when performers are actually, at concerts or out in public singing songs. That requires a separate approval. If you have sampled someone's song, normally the record company is really good about grabbing all the rights you will need for that sample up front so that it won't cost you more if you turn out to have a big hit like Real Love. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like that happened here, but I wouldn't be surprised to see UMG make some kind of settlement with this record company to say, we're going to just go ahead and settle for this price, but you can never come back.
Wow. So we need to be in this business, Brian. What are we doing?
I'm telling you.
Let's talk right now.
I mean, and that's the thing. It's so funny. You know what I've learned about from just doing this show, doing Court Opinion, and having multiple lawyers and going through multiple cases is it's not always about who's right and who's wrong. It's about settling.
Yes.
80% of the cases are about settling. Even if you have not done anything wrong, you just settle to make it go away or to not increase more cost, right? So it's like, even though Universal Music Group may feel like they haven't done anything wrong, they could say, here, just take $10 million because this is more problem than it's not. That's just so interesting to me when it comes to the law. All right, let's keep going. So Monique Stinson says, from Latchkey Kids Film said, why sue now? It's been forever. So I'm assuming we're talking about Mary J. Blige. Why are they suing now? Well, if I was thinking about it, you would sue now because you finally have 32 years of revenue. Your bank, the bank, it's a whole lot of money she made off that show, off of that. And it's probably now that some slimy person who's created this business sees it as a money grab and wants to go in and get some cash. What do you think about this, Attorney Williams?
So what happens, like I said, there are a lot of, I call them music trolls, companies that do this, is they will go look for catalogs, right? So you got to remember, the person who's the plaintiff in this case probably wasn't around from the very beginning. They probably have not owned the rights to this song for all 32 years. Maybe they just bought this catalog recently. So when you buy a catalog, the company that you're buying it from, they should supply you with a list of all of the licensees, meaning everybody that they have agreements with for these songs. You should get a log of that when you buy these catalogs. So what this company probably did was go through the log and see, there's a song I don't see on here and it's Real Love. So let me just go file a lawsuit. And UMG, if they do actually have proper licensing of this song, what they will do is send this record company a copy of that old agreement or some kind of proof that way back when, yes, we did actually license this song. But if they can't produce the receipts, the settlement will most likely happen. I don't think this will go to trial. And that's how they make their money. So it's not that they've waited so long. It's that this company probably just got the right.
Just acquired it. Got it. Okay. All right, EV Bethune, we see you. I got a super sticker. This is my first super sticker. I got a super sticker. All right, EV Bethune, we love you. Thank you for watching the show. All right, Milana _NC said, how can Wendy's guardianship sue Lifetime if Wendy and the family is attempting to get out of the guardianship?
Yeah, so I actually have a little bit of a theory here. Ooh. The Guardian is suing, saying that, I only authorized Wendy to do the documentary because I thought it was going to show her in a positive light, and it's showing her in such an awful negative light. Well, I happen to have watched this documentary. I don't think it's showing Wendy in a negative light. I think it's actually very sympathetic towards her condition. But you know who is shown in a negative light? The Guardian. So I think that's why she's really mad. I think that she's trying to come at Lifetime because she doesn't like how she was depicted. Wendy herself is in the documentary accusing this Guardian of stealing money from her account. So I think that's why she's really mad. And I actually think that this is going to backfire in her face because, to your point, Melina, the family is already trying to get her out of the guardianship. So the family could easily say, hey, if you thought this documentary wasn't in Wendy's best interest, why did you authorize it?
Right. Okay. Oh, good points. Yeah. I thought the same thing, and everybody in my friend group ripped my head off about it because I was like, it can't show nothing that ain't there. The documentary can't make it bad if she's not bad. Period. Right. So it's like, I thought that the documentary was just very transparent. And some parts you could tell they were piecemealed it. You could tell some was filmed sometime, but think about it. During the life of the documentary, she was going through rehab, coming out of rehab. She was dealing with alcohol issues on the documentary. That doesn't make her incapacitated. That's documenting where she is at that time of her life.
Yeah.
Exactly right. And I also think, just to the point about the Guardian suing because it wasn't a positive depiction, it's a documentary. If it was supposed to be a positive depiction, it would be a commercial. That's not what they're doing. They're trying to be objective. So I think that this is cuckoo.
All right, last question, everybody, for here in the courtroom. The question is from Aurora Stevenson. Aurora Stevenson said, Al, are you going to keep doing Fox Soul and this? Absolutely, Aurora. We're going to do them both, and you're going to need to stay tuned right here on the Court of Public Opinion because the show is going to continue to evolve, and we also may change the time slot on you so that more people can enjoy the show. All right, attorney, my legal beagles, here we are at that part of the show where we give our ruling as it relates to the topics in which we discuss. Fans, algorithms, and soulmates, you too can join in the comment and issue your decision as well. First up, Jussie Smollett, are we for or against this going to the Illinois court? Do we think the Illinois court is going to be for Jussie or against? Brian Ross, Attorney Ross, what do you think? Is the Illinois court going to be for or against?
I am so sad that I think he's going to lose. I think he struck a deal and they should let it go. I hope he wins in the Supreme Court, even though we know he did it. I hope that he wins.
But you're saying no, you can't double speak. See, lawyers always order in the court. No, so he said a lose, so we got to lose. All right, Attorney Williams, do you think he's going to win the Illinois Supreme Court ruling or not?
I mean, for all the blood, sweat, and tears we put into supporting him, I think he should serve his 150 days for the Black community because we were standing behind him and he made a fool out of all of us.
So that's a no. All right, the judge here, I'm going to rule as no. The verdict here is that he will not win the Illinois Supreme Court. If he does, it's clearly going to be on a technicality and not that he didn't do it. All right, next up, Wendy's guardian. Are we here for Wendy's guardian? Are we not? Let's start with you, Attorney Williams. Are we here for the guardian or guardian take a hike?
Guardian can take a hike, and I cannot wait to see A&E throw out those receipts. They put out a statement saying, oh, you unsealed your court documents. Wait until we unseal ours, and I want to see them.
All right, Attorney Brian Ross, are we here for the Guardian or against the Guardian?
Guardian, take a hike. See you later. 100% with Jourdan Williams on this one. Guardian,
all right, and the judge here is ruling no to the Guardian. The Guardian, take a hike. We don't believe you. Let's keep going. Jay Morant, are we here for Jay Morant exercising his right of self-defense on a stand your ground, or are we not? Brian Ross, what's the decision?
You can't throw a basketball in my face in my house and not get punched in the face. I'm sticking with Jay. Good for you, Jay. Not to throw a basketball in my court in my house and not feel
all right, Attorney Williams, are we here for Jay or not?
I'm here for Jay. Like Attorney Ross said, you're not going to hit me in my mouth, in my house, and sue me? Please.
All right, in the Court of Public Opinion, we're ruling, yes, that's a ruling for Jay Morant, but not ruling for you playing with guns on social media. Stop it, young man. It's costing you a lot of money and could cost you your legacy. All right, Mary J. Blige, now you know we love you, but Universal Music Group, are we here for Universal Music Group being sloppy with their filings of copyright rules and laws or not? What do you think? Are they going to win or lose? Attorney Ross.
I think they're going to lose. I think unfortunately, someone used some software to figure it out. I think they're going to lose.
All right, Attorney Williams, what are your thoughts?
I think they're going to settle. I think UMG has money, more money than God. I think they're going to settle.
All right, in the Court of Public Opinion, I think, the decision is that it won't make it to the bench. It's going to definitely be settled so all of this can go away because Mary J. Blige and Real Love is a song that we love, and she's probably screaming at them right now, hey, this is one of my bangers, and I don't need no handcuffs on my bangers. I need to have it in my lineup. All right, last up, we have Danny Lee's brother, poor soul. Danny Lee's brother, are we going to help him serve DaBaby? Or we just going to say, let it go? Criminal defense attorney Brian Ross, do you think he's going to be able to get him served or not get him served?
He'll eventually get him served, but I agree with it. I agree with DaBaby's lawyer. Catch me if you can. Put it in my hand. I agree with that. Catch me if you can. I'm the gingerbread man.
All right, Attorney Williams, what are your thoughts?
I think this boy needs to go sit his behind down somewhere and leave these people alone. Now, you tried to run up, you got beat up. Go take a break. Take a lap.
All right, in the court of public opinion, I'm going to stand with Danny Lee's brother. Sorry, attorneys. I think you're not going to beat my ass. You're not going to make me bleed and not have to pay. I'm dragging you into court one way or another. All right, alligators and soulmates, thank you for so much. Please put in some. Don't forget to watch the rerun tomorrow. Don't forget to hit that like button. If you unsubscribe, be sure to subscribe. Also, hit the share button and leave some comments. It's your comments that keep us coming back to teach you more. Everybody, have a good night.
Bye.